of our answers and going over the video now, pretest 3B. Number 23 says, in triangle ABC shown below, L is a midpoint, M is a midpoint, and N is a midpoint. Whenever that happens, that means that the side formed by any two midpoints is parallel to the third side, the one that they're not on, and it's half as long. So, for instance, when it says that MN is equal to 8, that means that the parallel side, BC, has got to be 16. And when it says ML is 5, that means the parallel side, AC, is 10. And when it says ML is 5, NL is 6, then the parallel side, AB, has to be 12. So then it wants the perimeter of the trapezoid, and the trapezoid I marked in red. And just adding up those sides, the big long lower base is 16, the right side is 6, the upper base is 8, and the left side is 6. So 6 and 8 and 5 and 16 add up to 35. So just don't forget on that problem that whenever you join the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, you create a segment that's parallel to the third side and half as long. The half is pretty easy to remember considering that it's about midpoints. Just don't forget it's parallel, and you're going to get a bunch of similarity out of that. Number 24, in the accompanying diagram of circle O, the measure of arc ABC is 260, and that's what we call the major arc. It's A through B around to C. That's the 260. So the part that I need here from A to C the short way, the minor arc, is 100. So what's the measure of the angle? The angle's on the circle. It's not a secant and a chord. So it has to be half the arc, because it's two chords. So half of 100 is 50. Now, this next one, it says that the measure of arc AC to CB to BD to DA is got to equal or in the ratio of 4 to 2 to 6 to 8. And this is, I guess, I was really tired when I did these questions. I was falling asleep. They don't add up to 180. They add up to 360. So I had to go back and correct that. If I add up all my x's, I get 20x. It's equal to 360. So dividing x is 18. And then plugging in the 18, 4 times 18 is 72 here for arc AC. 2 times 18 is 36 for arc BC. 6 times 18 is 108 for arc BD. And then arc AD is 8 times 18, which is 144. It wants to know the measure of angle DEB. That's inside the circle. An angle inside the circle is half the sum of the arcs between the arc it intersects and the one that its vertical angle on the backside intersects. So 72 and 108 add up to 180. It's half of that, so it's 90 degrees. Okay. Number 27. Accompanying diagram, BA is a diameter, so that means it splits the circle into two parts that are each 180. If the measure of arc AC, or arc BC, is 50, then that means the measure of arc AC has to be 130, and again, the angle is on the circle, made up of two chords. It's an inscribed angle. Half of 130 is 65. Okay, next one up, number 28. We did one like this in the previous video, so I'll spare the derivation of the thoughts, but basically CE times EF is going to equal AE times EB, or this times this equals this times this. So 10 times x, the two parts of that chord, will equal 5 times 16, the two parts of the other chord. So 5 times 16 is 80, so 10x is equal to 80, divided by 10x is 8. Okay? It wants me to find EF. I didn't answer that. Oh, I did answer that question because EF happens to be x. I can't remember if I did that or realized that when I was doing the pretest, or if I just got lucky. So x is 8. And since EF is x, EF is also 8. Number 29. So this one is one of these longer, more drawn out problems. These are great practice. You're not going to get one like this on the test, but you practice so much that I can't help but not do one of these. So it says PA is a tangent, PDC is a secant, BD, AC is a diameter, BD is a chord. So is BC and AB and AD. And it tells you that AD is 46. So since this is a diameter, that means CD has to be 134. What else does it talk to us about? It says the arc BC has to be 32 more than arc AB. So if arc AB is X, then BC is X plus 32. And together they add directly up to 180, which is the second part of the equation, or you add them all up plus the other 180 and get 360. And it works out in part A, there's all the work in front of you. X works out to be 74. So arc AB, the measure of that arc is 74, and the measure of arc BC is 74 plus the 32, which is 106. Whenever it comes to a problem like this, and again, there will not be one on the test, but you always want to find the arcs, because every angle formula, whether it be half the angle, half the sum, or half the difference, in some way, shape, or form, you have to find arcs. So taking the time to find the arcs first lets everything else fall into place. So the measure of arc AB is going to be 74. The measure of angle BAC, this angle up here, that's on the circle. It's made up of two chords, so it's half the intercepted arc. The intercepted arc is 106. Half of 106 is 53. The work is on the side here. I'm not 100% sure why it's not fitting perfectly, but every once in a while this happens. Angle P is outside the circle, so it's half the difference. The major arc intercepted here is from A to C, and that is 180 degrees. And then the smaller minor arc in here from A to D is 46. So 180 minus 46 is 134. I cut that in half and I get 67. Part D, the measure of angle DEC, that's inside the circle, so it'll be half the sum of the arcs. And that's what arcs? Well, the arc across from angle DEC itself and its vertical backside. So if one of these arcs is 134 and the other one is 74, if I add up 134 and 74, I get 208. And then if I cut 208 in half, I get 104. The last thing it asks for is the measure of angle PDA. And when it comes to the measure of angle PDA, don't worry about it. The answer is 90 for a variety of reasons, but you won't get anything like that on your test, okay? And last but not least, number 30, and unfortunately it's not fitting 100% in this diagram, but I'll take you through it verbally so you can imagine what it says where it gets cut off. The total shaded area here is going to equal the shaded area of the circle minus the area of the rectangle. So the area of a circle, apple pies are 2, right? Cherry pie is delicious is for circumference. Apple pies are 2 are for area. The radius of this, it says here, is 8. So I'm going to... I don't know why I said 6 there. Maybe I misread that. It's not the clearest thing. So this should be pi times 8 squared, which would be 64 pi. I'm going to do a quick adjustment on this. 64 times 3.1416. I'm going to have to put a correction in the answers box. So 60. Oh, man. Bear with me here. 64 times 3.1416. And then it wants to take off the area of the rectangle. The rectangle is 2 by 12, so the area of that's pretty easy. Just 2 times 12 is 24. So if I do that, if I get 64 for the radius of 8, not 6, squared, I get 201.0624, and then if I subtract off the 24, which is the area of the rectangle, I get 177.06, which is, whatever we want to round it to, 177.1. On your test, I definitely make it a point to say what to round it to. So I'll go correct that answer in the on Moodle so that people don't go crazy looking at it. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.